Welcome to Celestial Insights, a weekly podcast that brings the stars down to earth. I'm your host, astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks. My purpose is to provide practical, unique, and insightful guidance to help you navigate the energies of the week like a boss. Hello, this is Celeste of Astrology by Celeste, and on this episode I will discuss the astrology for the week of July 21st, 2024. The Leo New Moon Workshop will be on Sunday, August 4th. It is going to be an action-packed lunation, so come to learn how to make the best out of Mercury retrograde and the big Jupiter-Saturn square. You can sign up at the link in the show notes or my website, astrologybyceleste.com. And as always, I will do as many hot take natal chart readings as I can. I would love to see you there. So let's take a look back. We had the big transit that myself and every other astrologer in the world were looking at, the Mars-Uranus conjunction at 26 Taurus. And we were really interested to see how it would show up because it was conjunct a fixed star Algol that has a lot of harsh energy and has been known to coincide with catastrophes and other difficulties throughout the last thousands of years throughout societies all over the world. So there were a few things that we saw. So Mars rules violence. Uranus, it comes in really unexpectedly. Now Uranus also flips things around, and Mars rules competitions. So the event heard round the world at the first quarter moon, which is a time to take action. There was the attempted assassination of presidential candidate Donald Trump. Donald Trump turned his head at the last minute, and the Secret Service jumped on him to protect him, but he struggled to try to get up and then punched his fist up and was like, fight, 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 which is so Mars-Uranus. And so this event is very in line with the astrology. And for Donald Trump, this was a very personal transit. Not every transit is personal, but this was personal for him, because the Mars-Uranus conjunction at 26 Taurus met at his midheaven, which is the most public part of our chart, and was within 2 degrees of his midheaven, and it squared exactly his Mars at 26 Leo, and which is conjunct his ascendant at 29 Leo. So the ascendant is our physical body, and his Mars is conjunct his ascendant. And he's a very martial and Mars and Leo type figure. He's very combative and ready to be on the go and ready to fight. He's got a lot of attention. He's able to attract attention to himself. And he's a very strong figure. For many people view him as a hero. And yeah, it's his supporters love him even more now. They feel like he's invincible. He does have what's called his Saturn bona fide. It's between Venus and Jupiter. And I often talk about besiegement, where there's a planet between two malefics, but his Saturn, which is the planet of consequences and hardship, is between two benefics. So he's had a lot of good luck or divine intervention or whatever you want to call it in his life. And Algol is the beheading star. And oh my God, if the person hadn't succeeded, he almost got a shot to his head, but he had a cut on his ear. But I talked about, something to look for this transit is the sextile to Neptune. Neptune is the planet of illusions and delusion. And so many people, within minutes, thought that the assassination attempt was faked because there were things about it that looked theatrical, but I doubt that. But anyway, that was the Neptune. The assassination attempt happened, and within minutes, people thought it was fake. Also, Israel attempted to assassinate some of Hamas's leaders, but many civilians were killed. And so Algol is associated with catastrophes. The Chinese called it piles of corpses. So that was another event in line with the astrology. Mars-Uranus is also freak accidents. And there was a Top Chef contender. And chefs are Mars and Taurus type people. They use Mars knives and heat in order to prepare food for nourishment and pleasure. Taurus. She died in a tubing accident on a river. So that brings in the freak accident and the Neptune. There were 6 people who died in a luxury hotel in Bangkok where there was a woman poisoned them with a tea party. There was cyanide found in their bodies, and it was something about they were all investing in something, and they were meeting to resolve some kind of dispute, and 6 people died. So again, you have this poison is the Neptune, but the Mars-Uranus, this shocking, unexpected death, and Taurus, like this tea party, which is normally a pleasurable event. We also had 3 celebrities die, and when people die, the energy reflects something about their life. So Dr. Ruth Westheimer was a very Uranian person because she shocked people talking about sex, Mars, on the radio. So she was a very Mars and Uranus person. Richard Simmons was an innovator Uranus around exercise Mars, and he also died. And Shannon Doherty, she was a Hollywood bad girl. So Uranus is like, won't follow directions, won't do what you're supposed to do. She was like into heavy partying at one point and on-set lateness. So she was in the tabloids a lot. Oh, and she would fight. There was a couple of things where her fighting in public. And so that brings in the Mars. So that Mars-Uranus, she was someone who was considered very combative. And her death was very sad. She was pretty young. She was only 53 years old, but she had struggled with breast cancer for years. But all 3 of these people, there was something Mars-Uranus about them in different ways, and they all died within 2 days of this transit perfecting. I am excited to be a faculty member for the Organization of Professional Astrology's retreat in Park City, Utah from October 16th through 21st. I will be teaching a Moon Mastery Intensive over 3 days. This is going to be intimate where there will be no more than 9 participants. You'll learn everything about the moon and her cycles to deepen your understanding of your natal chart. We will delve into the past, the present, and what's going to be coming up in the future so that you can use the energies in order to achieve your goals. You can also bring a chart of someone else with their permission. If you want to join, do not hesitate. Sign up today because there are limited spots. I would love to be your guide as you deepen your understanding of our beautiful lunar teacher. The theme of this week is the Whirlyburly, and I think I should tell you what the Whirlyburly is. It's a complex strategy with pawns, hunters, and scrapers. I've never played it, but there's some inside baseball with me and some college friends that it's something about, it can have like sexual connotations. So keep both of these things in mind as you navigate this week. And there are 3 big things I want you to think about. The first is that we're having a full moon at 29 degrees of Capricorn today. And this is the second full moon in Capricorn. We had one a month ago at 1 Capricorn. So it's very unusual to have 2 full moons in the same sign. And Capricorn is the sign of governments big business, and the elderly. And think about all the things that have happened in the last month related to these two themes, particularly the elderly and governments. So since the last one, we had that disastrous debate with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, where Joe Biden really showed his age and had difficulties. And then we had the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. So the whole race for president, which they were going in basically at a dead heat. Somewhere one was up a little some places, the other places. And now we had this Mars-Uranus. Mars rules competitions like an election. There are two people competing against each other for the prize. And Uranus rules elections. And Uranus also flips things around, upside down, and drops them. And now you're in a totally different place. So I'm wondering if at this full moon, and the news might not be available until tomorrow, we really see how this last month has changed things in terms of this election. So yesterday, it was Mars in Taurus, sextile Neptune in Pisces. Sextiles are opportunities, but Neptune's the fog and the mist. So now that they've met, there should be some clarity over the next couple of days of where the election now stands. Have people, moved who respond to surveys based on, the events of the past month. It's a really intense full moon because it is conjunct Pluto within a degree. They're out of sign. So the full moon's at 29 Capricorn and Pluto's going retrograde, moving back into Capricorn. It'll move back in September 1st, I believe. But the moon and Pluto are within a degree. So this suggests that there will be things unearthed and exposed and revealed. That's what Pluto does about Aquarius themes. Aquarius is the collective, and the moon of the United States is in Aquarius. So this to me suggests we'll get some more understanding about what the people of the country and their feelings are related to the election. Because also we're going to have the sun, which spotlights things, trine Neptune. So the sun at 29 Cancer, trine Neptune at 29 Pisces. The sun rules leaders. So I think we're going to see this clarity coming through about where things are. And Neptune dissolves and washes away things. So keep that in mind as you move through the week. See what is dissolved and washed away. So the sun in Cancer at 29 Cancer is the Four of Cups tarot card. And this is a card of discernment. So somebody's sitting under a tree. They have 3 cups behind them and someone's trying to hand them another cup and they're not interested in it. So it can be about apathy or boredom, but it can also be about discernment. Like you have so much, you don't need any more, and you're being selective. The Sabian symbol is a daughter of the American Revolution, how in line with what's going on in the United States. I love what Linda Hill says about this in her book about the Sabian symbol. She says, sacrificing personal convictions to ambition is one of the translations of that. The moon will be at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and that's the Four of Pentacles. And it's like someone, like a man, and traditionally like holding this, one of the pentacles, and the others are under his feet, and like holding on to something that needs to be let go of. It's like greed. It can be symbolic of hoarding and greed. And it's directors of a large firm meet in secret confidence. And to me, putting these two together, I'm not going to beat around the bush. It's so in line with what is going on in the United States about the Democratic Party trying to replace Joe Biden. And you can think about Kamala Harris, the vice president, a woman being the daughter of the American Revolution, and directors meeting in secret confidence. I wonder if they're threatening him with the 25th Amendment because he is just refusing to step down. And I think they're in just full freak out mode in the Democratic Party, especially after the attempted assassination, because, it really shows the striking difference between the vitality of, the two candidates. Now, I'm just talking about the image, that character. You can bring in character, you can bring in policy, all these other things. But you can think about how these people are freaking out. And I'm wondering if the directors of a large conference firm are really trying to push him out to replace him with Kamala, at least for now. Now, something interesting today, I taped this early, and unfortunately, President Biden has COVID. So this is a great example of astrology in action. Saturn stationed retrograde on his IC, which is the lowest point in your chart. It's your personal midnight. It's opposite your midheaven. Saturn rules things like failure, and this happened 2 days after the debate. So Saturn was about to station, and he had that disastrous debate. Now, when a planet stations to go retrograde, it really grinds the energy in. And Saturn moves slowly automatically, so Saturn transits can last for a month. But when you have this stationing, it stays on the same degree for well over a month. And then there can be Saturn is still just barely moving. And as of recording this, it's at 18 now. So it's only a degree off, and it's been there for weeks. And now he has Pisces, some kind of, infection or disease that is sapping his strength and vitality. He's showing signs of fatigue. So he had this huge work failure. He's got all this pressure to quit, and now he's got COVID. So those are 3 different Saturnian things that he is experiencing in conjunction with Saturn stationing on his IC. Yeah, and there's this oppositional energy. The pressure's coming from outside himself. Someone outside himself gave him COVID. And when he was, competing against his opponent, he, had a disaster. The next thing I want to make you aware of is that Leo season begins tomorrow. So and Leo is wonderful energy. The sun is at home in this sign. It's coming home. It's a time of, joyful celebration. So many people go on vacation. The sun is shining. The beach is a great place to lounge around. The girls just want to have fun energy. It generally is this positive, dynamic, warming, radiant energy in the northern hemisphere. But this Leo season is going to have extra intensity because as soon as the sun goes into Leo, it opposes Pluto. And Pluto unearths things. It shows us our shadows. Leo it's your identity and your ego and how you shine your light. And then opposite Pluto is exposing things to yourself that maybe you'd rather not deal with. And I think this is going to be coming in for a lot of people in the form of how do you deal with frustration, irritation, and anger throughout this lunation season. Because number one, Mercury's going to go retrograde. So that can bring delays and twists and turns, things breaking down and all kinds of stuff. And then Jupiter and Saturn are going to be in a square. So you're trying to expand yourself, and Jupiter's in Gemini. You're trying to travel somewhere or communicate something, and Saturn and Pisces, boom, you come up against a wall or bad weather or something that Saturn delays you. So this is going to be a time, and Leo is fire, fixed fire, somebody gets upset and they have a really hard time letting go of it. So keep this in mind, what you see within yourself and other people around you of this plutonic nature. Now, this is also, with Joe Biden being the sun rules leaders, and Pluto opposite. Now, Saturn was hard enough, but Pluto is out for a destruction. So we'll see what happens, whether whether he steps down or what happens with Joe Biden. But it feels like the pressure is going to be on him continuously, even if he stays in the race, because he's not doing so great. Yeah. Now, Jupiter square Saturn, there can be a financial hiccup coming up. We will see what happens. I think also, so many places, the heat is so intense, and Pluto has an influence over the masses. So like the sun opposite Pluto feels like there can continue to be excessive heat problems. But we'll also be seeing secrets revealed about sun and Cancer type figures, whether they are leaders or celebrities or mothers. These are Cancer type figures. Leaders of a clan. Yeah, we may see things around that. But in general, there's going to be a lot of joy throughout Leo season, but it's got some intensity. The last thing I want to make you aware of is that Mercury will enter the sign of Virgo on Thursday, July 25th through August 14th. Now, this is going to be a little different Mercury and Virgo transit because of the retrograde. Traditionally, Mercury is at home and exalted in the sign of Virgo, so it's really its favorite sign because it takes the information or whatever it is, the things, and sorts them, organizes them, categorizes them, and counts them. So it brings at its high road order to chaos. It's a mutable earth sign, and Virgo rules the intestines. And think about what the intestines do in your body. They separate the good stuff from the waste, the wheat from the chaff. So that's something you can think about and see what you notice. Really see what you notice when Mercury moves into Virgo on Thursday. Some other Virgo things are virgins. The Vestal Virgins is something around Virgo. Single women. Yeah, it's like the maiden kind of energy. There also could very likely be health news. And this is a little worrisome for President Biden because Mercury will go retrograde on August 4th at 4 Virgo, squaring President Biden's ascendant. So he has COVID, so he could start feeling better and then have some kind of relapse. That could be something that happens with Mercury and going retrograde in Virgo. Mercury rules the lungs. Now, I wrote down the song Bad Girls by Donna Summer. It's Toot Toot Beep Beep came to my mind. And there's a lot about your mama won't like it if she finds out is a line in the song. And I got this something about positive pregnancy tests with a young girl. And with Uranus on Algol, I got this image of a young woman struggling with, whether or not, because Virgo is a sign of poverty, whether or not she can afford a child. And as Mercury goes retrograde, mulling this over again and again, is she going to keep the baby, give it up for adoption or what have you? Yeah. Or, an abortion. Uranus rules abortions. Yeah, that's what came into my head with this. Now, remember, we're in the shadow period, so things that come up could, have a second and third act with this. But yeah, hopefully any pregnancy tests are positive and people are happy and thrilled to get a new blessing. But anyway, I'm just telling you what I see as I'm doing the astrology. If you are embarking on a new journey, experiencing a major life event, feeling stuck, trying to make a difficult decision, or just looking to make positive changes, astrology can provide life-changing insights. There are several ways to work with me. You can come for a 30, 60, or 90-minute astrology consultation depending on your needs. Ask me a burning question and I'll record a video for you. Engage in longer-term cosmic success coaching where we work together on a 3-month basis to help you overcome blocks, improve your life satisfaction, build better relationships, accomplish your career goals, and understand yourself better using the tool of astrology. or mystic mentoring if you're an aspiring astrologer and want help with chart analysis techniques. Go to astrologybyceleste.com to check out my offerings. If you have any questions, you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com. On Sunday, the word of the day is decay. This is the day we have the full moon at 3:16 a.m. Pacific time at 29 degrees of Capricorn. And this relates back to a lunar phase family where this is one of the ones where they're in two signs. So there was a new moon in Aquarius at 1 degree of Aquarius on January 21st of 2023. Now, the first quarter moon slipped back into Capricorn at 28 degrees, and the sun was in Libra at 28 degrees, making this square October 21st of 2023. The full moon of this lunation is today's full moon, 29 degrees, sun in Cancer and moon in Capricorn, and the last quarter moon 9 months from now will be back sun in Taurus, moon in Aquarius on April 20th of 2025, both at 1 degree of the respective signs. So we've got Aquarius and Capricorn, and this is so interesting because this is what Pluto is doing. It's moving back and between these two signs of Capricorn, which is hierarchical, like one person's on top of the other kind of structure, versus Aquarius, which is it's like a flat system where we're all equal. We're all putting our own weight. It's egalitarian. So there's this push-pull, power over versus power to the people, and we're seeing this kind of energy. So I think it's really interesting. You can go back and look and see if there's anything important in your life related to these dates that has to do with Capricornian or Aquarian themes. The word of the day is decay because 29 is the last degree of the sign. It's anaretic, and it's like a degree of crisis and decay. And you can think about Capricorn. Capricorn is earth energy. It's practical, it's stable, it's ambitious, it's responsible, but it's earth energy. And it feels like, there's this, and you can think about it rules the elderly. There's this decaying old figure kind of energy with this. Or it's like, I got the image of a huge tree that's decaying, getting ready to fall over in the forest. Now, the moon will enter Aquarius at 4:42 a.m. Pacific time. Aquarius is fixed air. It can help you get a higher perspective, view things from a higher view with less emotion. So it's interesting to have this full moon, which is this big pulse of energy, in Cancer, which is very emotional, and then moving from Capricorn, moon in Capricorn, which is not very emotional, into Aquarius, which is detached. Yeah, it's very interesting, some people's experiences. So think about those two things as you move through. It's a great day for shedding and getting rid of stuff you no longer need, which full moons are for. Like cleaning out your refrigerator is a great thing to do with this energy. Now, on this day, Venus in Leo is sextile Jupiter in Gemini. This is a beautiful energy. Sextiles are opportunities. They're both at 12 degrees of this sign. So you may get a nice gift from like your grandmother or something, or grandparent. Yeah, this could be like a full moon in Capricorn. Someone can be working on their will and deciding to start to give away some of their possessions to their grandchildren. I remember when my grandparents started to do that. Yeah, it happened slowly over time, but all of a sudden they're giving like their silverware and jewelry and other things to their children and grandchildren because they know they're feeling their longevity and their time coming up. Yeah, Mercury in Leo is square Uranus in Taurus. They're both at 26 degrees of the receptive sign. So the grandchild, Mercury in Leo, can be surprised. Like maybe you're getting Uranus in Taurus, unexpected property or something like that. Land. Yeah, Taurus rules the earth. And it could be like, oh, wow. Now, this is on, there can be shocks and awe with this, so just be aware of that. Uranus surprises, spins us up, and throws us down. It can be like some kind of news. Hopefully, it's not bad news, but with Algol again being activated, there's probably going to be some events in the collective. Now, Mars in Gemini is trine Pluto at 0 degrees of Aquarius. Yeah, they're both at 0 degrees. So, having this at a full moon, this feels very loud because Mars is reporting into Mercury and Leo. Leo is very extra, extra dramatic. Read all about it. This is very explosive energy. So be careful if you're cooking with gas or something like that, because I'm getting this image of like gas igniting. So just keep that in mind. Mars rules motors. Gemini and Aquarius are air signs. So maybe we'll get news about flying cars this week, like Mars and Gemini, like some kind of, and Pluto and Aquarius, technological advances in warfare, cars, drones, or things that are coming to me with this transit. So we'll see what news we get this week. On Monday, the word of the day is mirror. The sun enters Leo at 12:44 a.m. Pacific time. Now, I explained how it's opposite Pluto. So mirror, like you may be seeing a mirror of yourself, seeing yourself in a way that it could be shadowy that you maybe don't even like, or it can expose, maybe your deep sexuality, like something comes up that, it's like, or you look at yourself in the mirror and look like, I look good because Venus is in Leo, or you're out and about and someone tells you, you look good because the moon is in Aquarius, like you're out in the collective. I'm feeling like love, or you could be feeling like love or fun is so far away with the moon opposite Venus, but keep hope alive. On Tuesday, the word of the day is attached. And the Aquarius moon squares Uranus and then Mercury during this day. And, Aquarius, you could feel a little detached, but then the moon enters Pisces. So maybe you got in a quibble with your loved one when Mars went into Gemini last Saturday and you haven't been talking and holding on to things, but then the moon enters Pisces at 6:22 a.m. Pacific time. And you wake up feeling forgiving and you're ready to have a big hug. So you attach to each other again. So this is a great energy with the moon in Pisces, this mutable watery energy to slow down, take it easy, go with the flow. Yeah, Venus is sesqui-square Neptune. So this could be, you get a little peek behind the rose-colored glasses where you get a little peek of a loved one and see, they're not perfect. If you put someone on a pedestal, you might really see some flaws. And that rolls into Wednesday's word of the day, mirage. We have a disseminating moon at 17 degrees of Pisces at 10:52 a.m. Disseminating moons are part of the waning phase where the energy is starting to release from the moon cycle. And it's time to share what you've learned or what you've accomplished over the last couple of weeks. Now, the moon will meet Saturn, and that could just feel like a little bit of a pinch or melancholy or something, or you get come to face with reality, and that happens around 1:30 p.m. And there's something about rejection. Saturn rejects and excludes, and this is the day that Benjamin Netanyahu is supposed to speak before Congress. I tried to find a time, and he says, and this was in the press release weeks ago, he's going to tell the truth about the war. Well, I wouldn't expect truth about anything with a Pisces disseminating moon, because there's this image of smoke and mirrors. Neptune in modern astrology rules Pisces, Jupiter traditionally. Now, Jupiter's in Gemini and Neptune's in Pisces. So that gives you like words being used to paint a picture that's not necessarily reality. And several members of Congress have said because of the atrocities going on in the war, they will not attend. So we'll see what happens with that. But the word of the day is mirage. On Thursday, the word of the day is statistics. The moon enters Aries at 7:52 a.m. Pacific time. The news will be discussing whatever Netanyahu said in his speech about the war. Aries is ruled by Mars, associated with war. The discussion may be on what is bravado. Mercury in Leo is at the last degree of the sign, and like what was glossed over. Yeah, could be a topic of conversation. This is the day Mercury in Leo is King Kunk's Neptune and Pisces, both at 29 degrees. So again, we get these themes of crisis and decay and talking about that was not exactly true. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, the Mercury enters Virgo. So there's all this accounting for things when Mercury enters Virgo. Yeah, we'll see how that shows up. There could be health news. This happens at 3:41 p.m. Now, with Mercury, King Kunk's Neptune, and Mercury in Leo, like I get images of like this could be heat stroke or someone having some kind of heart problem. You think Leo rules the heart and they feel weak, Neptune, and Mercury enters Virgo. Oh my God, I need to call an ambulance. That could be like the sequence of events that happens with this. Or like on another, like a positive of how we can move from Leo to Virgo. Oh, Leo, you've got this big idea, but you're confused about your next steps. Like you've got this big idea, Mercury and Leo, but your next steps, you can't get quite to them. The King Kunks is like this irritation of Neptune. And then Mercury enters Virgo, and you're like, oh my God, this is the practical plan about how I can bring this Leonic vision to life. That's how it could be really positive. Mm-hmm. And the sun in Leo sextiles Mars in Gemini. So the sun spotlights things. Leo, your creative idea. And Mars, you have the action plan. Intellectually, Gemini to get going. They're both at 3 degrees. Now, this could also be like, I'm having a heart attack, sun spotlighting on my heart, Leo, and Mars and Gemini. I need the ambulance, an emergency vehicle, Mars in Gemini. On Friday, the word of the day is chaotic. Chiron stations retrograde at 23 degrees of Aries. So you can think about Aries rules the head, the eyes, the ears. There's been so much about hearing recently. Yeah. And yeah, stationing to go retrograde at 23 Aries. So you may notice like some people may be having headaches around this time. It could be from the heat. I really worry about people with heat stroke with Chiron in Aries, a fire sign, and Leo season. So keep yourself hydrated. There's something chaotic about the energy this day. And this is the day the Olympics starts. And Venus in Leo is King Kunk's Saturn in Pisces. They're both at 18 degrees. So this can be like people at the beach wanting to have fun, having a lack of water, Chiron in Aries. They're having, all kinds of health issues, Mercury in Virgo with all of the heat. So really keep yourself hydrated. Mercury in Virgo is also King Kunk's Pluto in Aquarius. And Mercury, I just get people in France protesting and loudly screaming about the war in Gaza because the Olympics is a place where you can get a lot of attention. So I just feel like this energy is pretty chaotic, even though it's past. There's just the energy of that Mars-Uranus and Mercury-Uranus, and it just feels very, very loud. And I get the image of like drones. Maybe that's just like helicopters, trying to keep everyone safe. So I think we're going to have a lot of noise coming out of France during these Olympics. It doesn't feel like the calming nature of things, but maybe it will be. Inside the stadium, everything will be, pretty calm. But I just wonder if there'll be a lot of protests and whatnot happening on the streets. France has had a lot of turmoil lately with their elections and all sorts of things. Saturday, the word of the day is feast. The moon enters Taurus, and so if there was a lot of energy Friday night, maybe it'll calm down a bit. But we're going to have a last quarter moon at 5 Taurus. So last quarter moon, again, are times where it's taking action at quarter moons. But this is also the crisis of consciousness. So where you integrate what has gone before the last couple of weeks. Now, I'll talk about this on next week's program because I already talked about the full moon in Capricorn. But this relates back to the lunar eclipse of October 28th of 2023. So events showing up can be related to the eclipse. That's another reason. Like back then was when the war in Israel started. Now we're 9 months later and it's still going on at this time. And yeah, I think there may be a lot of protests or demonstrations or what have you around that. I'm also concerned with the Olympics. There's something about the next eclipses where like physical injuries are more likely, like the athletes competing and they're running into physical injuries with Jupiter coming to square Saturn as well. We'll see how that shows up and I'll keep you informed. So that's it for this week's episode. Feel free to email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com with any astrology and action stories, or let me know how the daily themes are playing out for you. Take care, and I'll catch you next week. Thank you for listening to Celestial Insights. To learn more about my work, please visit my website, astrologybyceleste.com, where I offer personal readings, horary consultations, cosmic coaching, group events, and classes to help guide people to higher levels of fulfillment. You can also find me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Astrology by Celeste. If you enjoyed Celestial Insights, please help others find the show. Follow, rate it 5 stars, or write a nice review. I would so appreciate it. I'm astrologer, coach, and intuitive Celeste Brooks, and I'll be back next week.